Hello, this is Dr. Sunita Kumari, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology, St. Joseph's College for Women, Autonomous, Vishakhapatnam. Welcome to the online course on positive psychology. The course objectives of this course are to understand the history, scope, and foundational principles of positive psychology as a scientific discipline, and also it helps to examine concepts such as well being, happiness, optimism, resilience, gratitude, flow, and character strengths. And in contrast, deficit focused models with strength based approaches to mental health and human flourishing. And its main objective was to explore how positive psychology can be integrated into education, healthcare, organizations, and counseling. And the course outcomes are by the end of the course, students will be able to clearly articulate concepts like PERMA, flow, and learned optimism. And students will be able to design and implement evidence based interventions such as gratitude, journaling, savoring, or strength spotting. And also, they will be able to reflect on personal experiences with positive psychology practices and report on changes in mindset or behavior. And finally, students will be able to apply tools for building psychological resilience and managing adversity constructively. Welcome to the first module, History of Positive Psychology. Let me ask you something. When you think of psychology, do you think of fixing problems like anxiety, depression, or trauma? Yeah, for most of its history, psychology focused mainly on what's wrong with people and how to fix it. And that's super important. But in the late 1990s, something new began to take shape and it changed the game. It is called positive psychology. Positive psychology is a branch of psychology that doesn't just ask what is broken, it asks what is wrong, what helps people not only survive but thrive. Instead of focusing only on illness or dysfunction, positive psychology shines a light on our strengths, virtues, and talents, the things that help us live meaningful, fulfilling lives. It looks as how people and communities can flourish, not just get by, but actually feel energized, connected, and motivated. This movement was really kicked off by psychologist Martin Seligman. He said, let's study what makes life worth living, and that one idea sparked a whole new direction in psychology. So, positive psychology isn't about ignoring problems, it's about also celebrating what's right and helping people build on that. Because when we focus on our strengths, amazing things happen. Have you ever heard someone called the father of positive psychology? That would be Martin Seligman, and his story might just change how you think about psychology. For a long time, especially since World War II, psychology was mostly about healing. It focused on mental illness, trauma, and fixing what's broken. And don't get me wrong, that work is incredibly important. But Seligman thought, what a wait a second, What about the other side of the coin? In 1999, right before the American Psychological Association president, he had a bit of breakthrough. He started asking deeper questions, not just about suffering, but about strengths, resilience, and happiness. He realized psychology had become all about what's wrong with people. But what if we also studied what's right? That idea became the heart of positive psychology, a science focused on helping individuals and communities flourish. And Seligman didn't want to just help people cope with challenges, he wanted to help them find meaning, grow, and thrive despite the challenges. So, next time you are thinking about personal growth or how to live well, not just survive, you might want to thank Martin Seligman. He helped shift psychology from just treating illness to also promoting vision. The roots and rise of positive psychology. So let's talk about positive psychology, not just where it is now, but where it come from. You might be surprised it actually has some pretty deep roots. A lot of people credit Martin Seligman, the father of American psychology. He believed that psychology shouldn't just study what is, but also explore what could be. Then came Abraham Maslow, who you have probably heard of, the hierarchy of needs guy. Maslow also pushed psychology to look beyond illness and dysfunction. Next one, key findings of positive psychology. There are five surprising truths about happiness backed by research from the world of psychology. So let's talk about happiness. We chase it, we wish for it, we even read books about how to find it. But what if I told you that some of what we think we know about happiness, it's actually a kind of upside. And based on the research, most people are happy. Yeah, it might always seem that way, especially if you scroll social media or watch the news. But studies consistently shown that most people rate their lives as pretty good. Turns out humans are naturally wired to bounce back. Happiness isn't just a result of success, it's often a cause of it. We tend to think we will be happy once we get the job, or house, or relationship. But happy people are actually more likely to make good things happen. They are more productive, creative, and social. And religious faith matters. Research shows that people who say religion is important to them tend to be happier and cope better with stress. Money helps, but only to a point. Sure, money can cost well being, boost well being, especially if your basic needs aren't met. But after a certain point, more money adds less and less happiness. Good days actually have a pattern. No matter what you're doing, the best days tend to share three things. You feel autonomous, competent, and connected to people. And so, did you know that before 2004, positive psychology didn't really have a shared language to describe positive traits? It's true. Researchers were talking about strength like courage, gratitude, and hope, but everyone was a kind of using their own words. There was no universal system for measuring or discussing the good stuff in human behavior. Positive psychology focuses on well being, strengths, and optimal functioning, not on disorders and distress. The big idea behind positive psychology is this: studying happiness, resilience, and fulfillment is just as important as studying anxiety, depression, and trauma. Now, compare that and traditional psychology, which had a DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. That book gave everyone a common language to talk about things like anxiety, depression, and all kinds of mental illness. And that shared vocabulary, it helped psychology grow as a science. But when it comes to strengths, character, and virtues, positive psychology was missing that kind of structure. That's when Peterson and Martin Seligman stepped in. They said, if we want to take positive psychology seriously, we need to define what is good character actually looks like and figure out how to measure it. So they launched a massive research project, and the result was a groundbreaking framework called the BIA classification of character strengths and virtues. BIA, it's nothing but as a kind of a tool for positive psychology. Did you know that no matter where you are from or what time period you lived in, human beings have always valued certain core virtues as a part of their work in positive psychology. Psychology, they wanted to answer a big question, not just today, but across cultures, religions, and philosophies all throughout human history. So they went deep. We are talking ancient texts, world religions, political systems, education, even philosophies from East and West. And guess what? They discovered something amazing, that is BI. The BIA consists of six core values: the courage, justice, humanity, temperance, transcendence, and wisdom. This work became the foundation of what's called the VIA classification of strengths, a sort of positive psychology dictionary of 24 character strengths grouped under these six values. If you are familiar with psychology, you imagine that you might have heard that DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, it's a big book psychologists and psychiatrists use to categorize mental illness and disorders. The DSM is super important. It helps doctors diagnose conditions like depression and anxiety. The VIA tool is a kind of like personality quiz, but instead of focusing on weakness or problems, it focused on your best traits. The survey has 40 questions that asks you to rate how much certain statements apply to you. Your answer, try to answer honestly, and the BIA tool analyze your responses to show you which strengths are your top ones. And finally, instead of focusing only on fixing weakness, the VIA encourages you to play to your strengths, and that can lead to greater happiness, meaning, and success. So, if you are curious about what your unique positive traits are taking, the VIA survey might be a great place to start. And moreover, strengths associated with knowledge, such as love, learning, and curiosity, were least correlated with life satisfaction. And remember, everyone has strengths. You just have to find yourself. Thank you for listening.